Welcome everyone. It's Brian and Keith from Less Magic More Gathering here for our 5th edition of Random Draw Deck Tech for standard Magic the Gathering play. And as you watched our video earlier, this week we drew Vona's Hunger, which is a 3-drop instant. Has Ascend. Each opponent sacrifices a creature if you have the city's blessing. Instead, each opponent sacrifices half the creatures if he or she is rounded up. I just read that way too fast.
You emphasized the words in the wrong place.
I don't know why.
Try again.
We can edit this, right? Alright, so it has Ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. So the card itself is an instant 3-drop. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Bam. So on and so forth. If you have the city's blessing, instead each opponent sacrifices half the creatures he or she controls, rounded up.
Much better.
Much better.
Nailed it.
I don't know what I was doing. So that's the card that we base this on. And so when we did some brainstorming, we watched some of that on the video. We put that up, yeah, the video. And we came with quite a few things, quite a different mixture of things that we can use the Ascend for. And I wanted to go a little heavier on the Ascend maybe than I should have, but I wanted to kind of use that as the reason why we do the random deck tech. So we have the one card that's based on Ascend, so I put a lot of stuff in this one that has the Ascend attributes to it so that we can get there. And then we thought about, you know, how do we get there fast enough so that we're not waiting till like turn 9 till we finally get Ascend, because at this point you're probably either losing or you're just pissed off, one of the two. In my case, it's usually I'm pissed off because I'm not playing anything. So, having said that, we're going to start with, let's do our creature base, just so I can show you what creatures we're playing with that help get to that point. It's not very heavy creature, like actual playing creature cards, but there is a lot of other things that give you creatures and permanents that will cover the difference on that. So we're going to start out with our 1-drop creature card. It's for Snubhorn Sentry. It's a 1-drop creature with Ascend as well. So the Snubhorn Sentry gets a +3/+0 as long as you have the City's Blessing. Now it's 0/3, nice blocker early on. Everybody talks about using Kinjali's Color. You know, it's an 0/3, it doesn't do anything, but it's a good blocker to have out there for 1-drop. Same here. Once that City's Blessing is achieved, it's now a 3/3 for a 1 cost. So it's not a bad card, and I haven't really got a chance to use it yet since it's newer, so I went with that. A 3-drop creature card that's old, been around a minute for standard. I like it, using a lot of stuff. Weaponcraft Enthusiast, 3-drop, Fabricate 2. There comes your permanents. So you have options with this one. If you want to leave him out as a defender with 2/3, or using it as a blocking portion, or drop 2 more servos out there, now you have 3 permanents with 1 play. And having your 3 lands out there to get him out there, you're now at 6 for permanents. So you're already halfway there on turn 3. We'll get to some other stuff.
If you haven't played anything else.
Yeah, if you haven't played anything else. So we'll get to some other cards that hopefully you have in your hand at the start. You can reach that City's Blessing by turn 3, and then anything else that you have in your hand that has Ascend, boom, you're ready to go. So that's the other creature I went with. And another one, 4-drop, a little pricier obviously, but it has the Ascend addition to it as well. So 3-drop, Dusk Charger. Dusk Charger gets a +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. So going back to that round 3, turn 3 you have a City's Blessing if you have the right card play. Play that on turn 4, you just put a 5/5 for 4 out on the field of play, and that angers people, and anger me.
Hold on, since we're doing a deck tech, we need to make sure we're doing this. The first card, Snubhorn Sentry, that was a 4 of. 4 copies of Snubhorn Sentry.
I said that. I guess
I don't know if you did or not. I know you didn't on that one, so
yeah,
just real quick. 3 copies of the Weaponcraft
Enthusiast.
That's the one.
Yeah, I probably skipped it, and then 3 copies of Dusk Charger. So I apologize. I was running into it too quick. So that's what we have so far. And then of course the one we talked about in the brainstorming, which is an effective card on the new set. We're going to do 4 copies of Twilight Prophet, your 4-drop creature card, flying. If it has the Ascend, then obviously there's. Let me get to it. So at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have the City's Blessing, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is that card's converted mana cost. Now, a lot of these converted mana cost cards in this deck aren't super high, so you're not going to lose a lot of life. You're not going to gain a lot. They're not going to lose life. But There are adjustments to this deck for sideboard purposes if that's going to be something you're going to go with, but I still like the fact that it allows you to get through your deck. So you get to take one, look at it, and put it in your hand. Then you draw. So you get 2 cards once it's on the field of play. That's another 4-drop. So even if you don't have the Dust Charger in your hand, but you got your City's Blessing, your Twilight Prophet's out there, return 4, and by turn 5 you're drawing an extra card. So can't complain about how that combo sets up. I like it. Alright, moving into our spells. So with that being said, the minimal amount of creature cards that we have in this deck, we're going to be adding spells that enhance that creature playing ability. So we went with 3 Legion's Landing. That is also newer from just Ixalan 1-drop. When Legion's Landing enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Boom. There's two permanents. That could be a round 1 card. You got a plains in your hand. Boom. 2 permanents. Now you're at 3. And then when you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform it, and it becomes this lovely legendary land card.
Adanto.
Adanto. So you can use it for a plane, or tap 3 and tap this and create a 1/1 white vampire creature. So if by chance you didn't draw a Weaponcraft Enthusiast or something else and you don't have a play on turn 3, you can put another permanent out there and that gets you a little closer. So that's an option. Doesn't always have to play out that way, but I think a cheap...
Probably not on turn 3.
No.
I don't think you've got a way to flip that by turn 3.
Yes, correct.
But yes, but it's another way to put...
Yes, it might take you longer than turn 3, but yeah, either way, that's a way to get another creature out there if you need it. So we'll skip to... not skip it. So the other thing, obviously, is another permanent. Went back a little bit to the Cartouche of Solidarity, 1-drop, enchant creature you control. When Cartouche of Solidarity enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with Vigilance. Enchant creature gets a +1/+1 on first strike. So, another token and another permanent. And now you've just given the creature that hopefully you had out there. It might only been a Servo, or even the Weaponcraft Enthusiast himself. You put that on him, you just got another token, and he's now can attack at least. So that it's cheap. It gives you that. Plus, it has the trial, any of the trials that might be on the field of play come back in your hand. We'll get to that in a minute because we did put those in there. It's kind of hard not to. So there's another permanent. So that could be also, that one you obviously can't play until you get a creature because it has to be on creature, but it helps with your permanents and more creatures on the field.
How many of each of those?
I thought I said 3. Maybe I did. I went with just 3 of those.
3 of each of them, right?
Yep, 3 of each. 3 of Legion's Landing and 3 of Cartouche of Solidarity.
I was napping. You probably said it.
No, you're good. I may not have. So I'm going to stay with the cost, not to beat around what else is going to be on here, but I'm going to stay with the cost value. So another 1-drop card that I went with that helps protect specific cards that you have is the Supernatural Stamina. 1-drop, instant until end of turn. Target creature gets a +2/+0 and gains when this creature dies. Return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. So obviously you can use that in 2 different ways. If you want to protect it, you want to block something, you pump it up, maybe kill that card that's coming at you, and yours dies, but yeah, it comes back, so you save it. So that would work only for your permanents. Obviously, you put that on a token, it's dead, and you can't bring that back. I don't think, right? You can't bring a token back. So
well, what's it say?
It says when creature dies, return to battlefield tapped under social choice.
So yeah, you could because by the rulings, your token goes to the graveyard and then ceases to exist. So when it dies, instead of going to the graveyard, it would return.
But I thought the ruling also stated that whenever something dies, it has to go in the graveyard first in order to resolve.
That changes that. That makes it so that it doesn't.
If we're wrong, feel free to check and verify and post. We always like post to make sure that we're doing the right thing and talking about the right rules. So that's, the one way to obviously save your creature, but I like it also as an option if you need that extra 2 hit points, from Twilight Prophet, it's only 2 damage, but if you throw that on there, now you're hitting for 4 if you need it, maybe that finishes the game. So that's a couple different ways to look at it. So that's our sort of protect card. 4 copies of that. Moving on into our 2-drops. This is the Trial Ambition like we talked of. 4 copies of Trial Ambition. Obviously we know how that works, so when the cartouche is played, Trial Ambition comes back in your hand, but this allows you to target an opponent and they have to sacrifice one of the creatures. So if they got a creature you don't like and it's just the one, obviously you know what they're getting rid of, but it makes them choose also. So that's one way for creature removal. This is an option card we put in there. Can be played multiple times as long as you have a cartouche. You can play it again. So 4 copies of that. And then here is another Ascend card. Pride of Conquerors. This is just because we're going to reach for that City's Blessing, and having additional City's Blessing cards in there, I think this is a benefit to help protect your creatures, and then to also help put damage on your opponent if that's the situation. So it's 2-drop. Creatures you control get a +1/+1 until end of turn. If you have the City's Blessing, those creatures get a +2/+2 until end of turn instead. So, like I said, reaching for that City's Blessing, that 2/2 helps tremendously, especially if your Dust Charger's out there, it's a 5/5, and you swing, and then they try to block it with something or chump it, you throw that out there, now it's a 7/7, you just pissed everybody off. So, I mean...
Yeah, you can use that offensively or defensively.
Yes.
Now, if you've got a bunch of creatures out there, and they're servos and other tokens, and they swing into you thinking that they're going to kill off your creatures with, 2/2s, 3/3s, whatever the case may be, then you can play that, pump them up 2, and either save your creatures or be able to kill some of theirs that maybe they didn't think you'd be able to.
Yeah, or also even that heavy defense thing. So with all these 1/1 tokens that could be out on the field of play that is in this deck, and somebody throws out what is that? Fiery Cannonade? Is that 3 damage or 1 damage?
I don't know. There's quite a few that do. There's the one that does 1 damage, the dinosaur that does 1 damage to all creatures, and then
so having that in the field of play, and you throw it out there, then all your 1/1s stay alive and they don't die.
Fiery Cannonade is 2 damage to each
non-pirate,
so that would save them there.
So there's tons of things that would work out for. So I went with just 3 of those. Maybe there's an option where I could switch some things out and do all 4, but that's a good one I like for helping protect some of your creatures.
Somebody throws the Foundry Hornet.
Yep.
Out, and all your creatures would get a -1.
Just
or
-2,
-2,
right?
-2. Yeah, it saves them there
Yep.
too.
Alright, so the next thing is 3 drops. Went with another permanent. Also one I like from the new set, Squire's Devotions. 3-drop enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink. When Squire's Devotion enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 vampire creature token with lifelink. So there you go. If you have your turn 3 and you have one of your 1/1 cards out there from Pride of Conquer, not Pride of Conquer's Legion's Landing, you can put that on that one, and now you've got another token to get closer to that City's Blessing. Plus the lifelink always helps. And I played quite a few rounds with this deck these last few days, and I was able to put that on my Twilight Prophet, which helped out. So nothing better than flying 3/4 with
Twilight Prophet
3/5.
with the whatever the
Squire's
Devotion, getting
3/5
you
lifelink.
So then you're hitting them for points and getting points back, and then at the beginning of every turn you're doing the same thing.
Right.
So it's a real quick way to drain them.
So just 3 copies of that as well, and then moving on into still three cost. Our card of the day, our card of draw or randomness. So the Vona's Hunger, obviously we've already read whatever that was. Sacrifice, make some sacrifice half their thing. So. Or their creatures. That's the end game for this. Obviously, the City's Blessing helps quite a bit in a few of these newer cards, and then having that out there. Some of these games can go on a little bit, which we saw today. We had a game that went quite the distance. It was a 2-headed giant game, but having that in my hand with the City's Blessing, I was able to neutralize my opponent's, obviously, numerous creature stock in half, and then my teammate had some removal, so he was able to remove some stuff after that. So they had to choose, and then he took something else from them. So it can be kind of beneficial in a team game, and even if not, it can still piss your opponent off. So that went with obviously 4 copies of the Vona's Hunger, because that's our card of this deck. And then there's an additional removal spells, which is beneficial right now, especially with some of the God cards out there that don't die. Or if they do die, they go right back in their owner's hand. So we got Vraska's Content. Went ahead and just put 2 of those in there. It's a 4 cost, so it's a little more pricey. But if your game does go on a little bit and they've got Scorpion God or something else out there, it's worth having in there to get rid of those creatures.
You said Scorpion God again.
Scarab God, I don't know why. Apparently I've got this thing with those 2 cards. Scorpion God just seems like it's the one that nobody wants, even though I know it's not worth crap. But and I think it might be because I've got 3 of them. Of all the packs I've opened from some of those sets, I got 3 Scorpion Gods.
Hey,
no Scarab Gods. Oh wait, yeah, Keith, I know you opened a Scarab God out of the box I bought.
You got a crush on the Scorpion God?
Apparently I do. Anyway, back to the deck tech here. So that's a good way to remove planeswalkers that obviously are a pain in the butt, or some of those God cards.
And that's good. The other 2 removal spells, the Vona's Hunger and the Trial of Ambition, both let your opponents choose what they're going to get rid of.
Right.
So this is a good spot removal where you get to choose the target, and it's also a higher cost. So if you reveal that with the Twilight Prophet, it's going to be more beneficial.
Yeah, it's an 8-point swing.
So you could do something like a Fatal Push, Walk the Plank, those spells, but I think we just determined that with the higher cost, converted mana cost to benefit the Twilight Prophet, and the fact that it's an exile instead of a destroy is why we went with that one instead.
Yeah, because destroy, they just put it back in their hand, you know, and it's like, and you can't do destroy on destructibles, and that gets them off the field of play.
And if you wanted to, you know, make this deck a little more budget friendly, I know the Vraska's Contempt is a little pricey. You could go with something like your
Walk the Plank.
No, not Walk the Plank. The White Exile, they get a dinosaur back.
Baffling End?
Yeah, Baffling End or Thopter Arrest or something like that. It only exiles them until that enchantment's destroyed, but not a lot of decks are running enchantment removal right now.
And even if they are, it's okay if they target that one, because you'd rather them target that than something else that's beneficial. So that is it for the card play portion of it. Now, going into lands, what I did, since I did kind of a check to see what my white to black ratio was for this, went ahead and I multicolored land, Forsaken Sanctuary, four copies of those. It does come in tap, so it's a slow dual land, but they're always beneficial to have options for those. And if you'd like the budget portion of it, if you want to spend a little more money, you can go out and get the Concealed Courtyard, which is also a two-colored black-white, but it's a little pricier and it's a faster land. But that's up to you. That's just this is what we're building today, or did build. And then I went with, I believe I went ahead and just went with 11 swamps, and then yeah, and 9 plains. So that's what I did for that combo. And like I said, the black-white is another option for the Concealed Courtyard if you want to do that. This deck actually played fairly well. I would say that because we do a lot of two-headed giant that tends to play well that way. But if you do get the draw, like in most decks, the draw just sometimes it is what it is for that deck. But if you get the draw where you're at City's Blessing at turn 3, which I can walk you through how that would technically work. You got a plains in your hand, and I'm guessing Legion Landing is the one we have to have out there because that starts off right away. So you got a plains out there, play Legion's Landing, you're at 3. Turn 2.
Yeah, let's just put a Legion's Landing, plane. That's turn 1. You got a Vampire token?
Yeah, we'll make it look even better. Turn 1, so Legion's Landing, plains card, so three permanents. Turn 2, you draw or hat, or it doesn't matter, as long as you get it in your hand. You end up with another
Cartouche.
So the cartouche is what it was. So you have plains, and it doesn't have to be, it can be another plains or another permanent land, so it could be a swamp or plains, but you have the cartouche of Solidarity. So you play that, obviously it needs to go on your creature. So you get a creature card. I don't have any warrior tokens, unfortunately. They're somewhere in my stash. No, they're somewhere in my stash. So now, that would be a warrior token. So now, turn 2, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 permanents.
And you could even play your slow dual land here, because you only need the one plane.
You just need the one plane.
So, whatever the case may be.
And then you end up, turn 3, maybe you didn't have it in hand, but maybe you drew it. Maybe you're like, oh sweet, I needed that. So obviously if you did have the dual land out there, and now it's going to turn over for, you can play it. But if not, swamp card comes into play. There's permanent number 7. Now the tap Weaponcraft Enthusiast comes out, and you get another permanent for him, plus your 2 servos. Bada bing, bada bing. Guess what, folks? Ascend City's Blessing by turn 3. And everything else that you play is ready to go because you don't lose that for the entire game.
Yeah, once you've got it, you keep it. So
yeah, so I mean, at this point, which I had to do this, I didn't get turn 3, but I did get it turn 4 early. We played, and a lot of those these guys were used for chumping to remove to not take damage, but it didn't matter at that point because after I had the Blessing, Dust Charger come in turn 4, Twilight Prophet turn 5, whatever, depending on if I had them in my hand, or Trial of Ambition here to get rid of something. So it worked out real well. By yourself, this is where you'd be by turn 3. That's not bad at all if they don't have any immediate removal, which they might, but who knows. And are they going to spend it on a servo? I doubt it. They're probably like, oh, I've got a Fatal Push or a Walk the Plank. Do I want to waste that on a servo? Probably not. So that's their fault. That's their mistake. That gets you what you need, and then you go on about your business. So I like the way this deck plays. It played better than one of the ones I put together before. Let's just put it out there.
After you've got that, like he said, the Dusk Charger comes out as a 5/5, so that's beneficial. The Twilight Prophet comes out and starts drawing you extra cards every turn and gaining you life, sucking life from your opponent. So it worked out well.
Yeah, I liked it. It played pretty well. But there are obviously those options. We got other things that could apply. Bigger cost cards for the Twilight, for what it's used for. That can be something you can adjust if you like the way this card sets. So you like the idea of this deck, you can change that to your own liking. Sideboard stuff I didn't really get into. But just like anything, you know, you got that extra removal stuff. Maybe instead of just the 2 Vraska's Contempt and you're putting money into it, you go for 4 of them. Swap out something else. But that's entirely up to you.
I think we're gonna probably stop doing full sideboards, because while we may know what we're gonna play against most of the time, we don't know what you're gonna be playing against. What you're playing at your game store or against your friends is gonna be different than what we see.
Right.
But I mean, you know. So if you're playing against a lot of Scarab God decks, then you know that you need to put stuff in there that's gonna be able to clear out your graveyard, or make it so that that stuff can't be targeted. If you're playing a lot of mono red stuff, then you know that you're gonna need to maybe put in some mass removal spells in here, or you know, just things that are going to help you against the matchups that you're going to be dealing with more often. So while it's fun to put together a sideboard and tell you guys this is what you should do, I think we're going to start more or less just letting you handle your sideboard, because you know what meta you're playing against.
Right.
You know.
But yeah, so there is our Deck Tech video for our Vona's Hunger random draw card of the week. And that's it right there. So we're getting ready to do our next random draw, and we will build off that. And this will be Mr. Keith.
Alright, let's zoom this back in here, see if we can get it.
It will be his card to play with. So this is all him.
Where am I at?
I don't know. Where are you? Random card. Oh, that was fast. Ooh.
Oh, I got a good one.
He got one of his favorite from the new set.
I got a good one. It's going to be expensive to buy the extras. I need to get 4 of them, but...
Well, you had one at the opening, and then one of the
I got one in my pre-release, and I got one in the box.
You need 2 more. Ugh. See, maybe they'll let you borrow it from the store.
Nah, I'll just buy them. I don't care.
Alright. So there you go, folks. Rekindling Phoenix is our next one.
If you haven't heard of it, play Magic, I guess, you dork.
Yeah, play Magic. What's wrong with you guys?
Rekindling Phoenix is a 4-cost, 4/3 with flying. Whenever it dies, you create a elemental creature token, 0/1 elemental creature token, with the ability at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this creature and return target card named Rekindling Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste until end of turn. So once you play this card, it requires multiple forms of removal to actually get rid of it. Otherwise, it's coming back from the graveyard every turn, and it has haste, so it forces your opponents to kill it twice, essentially.
Burn spells.
So that'll be a good deck to build around. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I like that card. Even though I don't have them, but I like it. It's a fun card.
I don't know why. We checked it last week, so I know that the settings are right.
Yeah,
This is the 3rd Rivals of Ixalan random card we've gotten. There's one from Amonkhet, just so you know I'm not cheating. Ribbons. Cut the ribbons. But,
do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's
another Amonkhet. Commit to memory. I'd hate to get one of those.
We got Rekindling Phoenix.
Hey, Growing Rights of Itlamok. We should have saved. I'm just kidding. Saved our spins. All right, so there we go.
We got Rekindling Phoenix, so we'll get that brainstormed and get a video put up beginning of next week, and then we'll do the deck tech next week.
Yeah, I like it.
So I hope you enjoyed the Random Card Deck Tech Volume 5 there with the Vona's Hunger. Let us know what kind of changes you would make, what we missed. We know we missed stuff.
We always
certain
miss
cards
stuff
that we like and we use in a lot of our decks. I'm sure that you see that some. We try and be original and creative and all that stuff, but there's just some cards we like, so we reuse them. Let us know what we missed and what you might put in there instead of what we went with, and we'll see you next week.
All right, man. Deuces.
Deuces.